Steve, good afternoon, and thank you so much for clearing some time from your busy day today. I think you've been running around all over the country today, haven't you?
Yes, thanks, Gary. It's good to see you. And yes, very always a busy day. But where I'm involved, there's always going to be a busy day, no matter what. Yes,
Well, it's always good to be busy. Time passes quicker when we are busy, so it's
too
good that
quickly.
you are. That you are. Steve, I wanted to have this interview or the session of interview today with you because when we met a few weeks ago, we spoke about some things that I found quite interesting about the way that you run your business. But before we get into that, you have been in the real estate industry for 10 years now. Started as a salesperson, and now you're the principal of McDowell Real Estate in Rotorua and an office in Whakatane as well. And you've had really quite an interesting career in real estate over the last 10 years. How I always like to try and start in the beginning of the journey. How and why did you get into the industry?
Oh, it was sort of purely by accident. The GFC hit. I was in the wooden toy industry, and you probably some people who most Kiwis will know the Barzilay toy. We had that business, and of course at GFC people stopped buying wooden toys, so we got out of the business, and I was looking for something else to do,
Yeah.
and thought. I was on a management contract actually at the time, running one of these import businesses.
Mhm.
And my brother and his wife at the time said to me, and my wife actually, who has to have most of the credit for all of this, said, "Why don't you do real estate?" And I said, "No way, no, I'm not going to be one of them." so, so they convinced me, much like someone convinced me to buy a Mini for a first car. I succumbed to the pressure. I did my real estate papers in 2010 and jumped in with
Mm.
my brother, working for him as a salesperson, and a top performer in that office, who was my brother's wife, showed me what to do, and it really went a bit crazy from there.
Yeah, yeah. It looks as if it has gone crazy because you were Rookie of the Year for the professionals group in your first year, and then from that moment onwards, really your career just kept on growing and growing. What do you think it is that has enabled you to become so successful so quickly and then continue to grow and stay successful?
Yeah, with a lot of pride, and I think some of my salespeople get sick of me reminding them. But in my first year, I got it was actually the first year the group announced a national rookie of the year, which was at the conference in 2012,
Mhm.
and I also achieved top 2% that year, which was one of 12 people.
Wow.
Which I was a bit like a possum in the spotlight, because I never expected that at all. All I knew it, I'd worked hard. I did exactly what someone had instructed me to do. And really, the bottom line of that success, Gary, was I looked at someone successful. There was a person in my office that was a top 2% that was training me. She
Mhm.
had 8 weeks before she went off and got married. And she said, "Steve, you do exactly what I tell you when I tell you, and
Mhm.
here's all the disciplines." Now, she also promised me what kind of money I could make. And I thought, well, really seriously, for that kind of money, would I do what I'm told? And, I was in my early 40s, and I'd been the owner of my own business since I was 27. So
Mm.
here was this much younger person, because she was quite young, the lady that taught me,
Yeah.
that was saying, "You do exactly what I tell you to do." Now, I'd never been, I was at the top of the tree. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to be told what to do, but I
Yeah.
thought, well, it was worth it. So, bottom line, I took a top 2%er that was a very successful salesperson, and I said, "What do you do?" I didn't ask any questions. I did exactly what she told me to do. And some of the things were totally against my natural instinct, but I
Mm.
did it. And of
Yeah.
course, her promise came true. I ended the year on a very successful year, my
Yeah.
first year. And of course, I continued those disciplines all the way through. So, yeah, achieving some results within the professionals group
Mm.
that were that only very few have ever achieved.
Yeah, yeah. So, would you feel comfortable sharing what were those secrets that she shared with? Were there things that were very different and complicated, or the usual things that people tell people to do when they get into the industry?
Well, I think that's the problem, Gary. Is there's a lot of noise and rhetoric around what people tell people they should do to
Hmm.
succeed. But I can give you a few tidbits about some of my basic things, because the first year that I was in real estate, at the very first conference, and I've never been to a real estate conference, they
Yeah,
actually asked me stand on the stage and speak to the group of 350 delegates to tell me
yeah.
what my secret was. Well, there is no secret other than success leaves clues.
Mm,
That's the saying I've learned since then. So by looking at the people who have achieved success and listening to them, you can pick that up. But here's a few that I will give you that I've learned.
mm,
Um, Success really is working 1 hour longer than you, or one thing smarter, or one thing different. That one step further that your competitor's not prepared to
mm.
do.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, and I jokingly say it, but I'm actually serious, that I used to drive past my competitor's driveway at night, and if her car was in her driveway at home, I would go, yes, I just need to do one more hour and I've beaten, right? I did one more thing that was an improvement on how she ran her open homes, and those
Mm,
who were around me at that time know exactly what I'm talking about. I would make sure I look for that one extra improvement. The other thing that I did was any opportunity I had to learn or to train, even if I'd heard it before, I
yeah.
still went back and listened to it. I read every book, I listened to every CD or like this, any recording on what other successful people had done, and I
Mm,
just continued to accumulate that information. But it was I have a little thing I tell my team, and that one word, which is a four-letter word in real estate, you can rely on, and the word is lazy.
mm.
And why I say that is because there are a lot of people who think that it's a quick buck in this game. It's not a quick buck. It's the best paid hard-working job and the worst paid lazy man's job. So if
Mm,
I see something that could be done or shortcut or cheated on, or, like you could just, you could do it quicker that way, or oh, don't bother with that. That's just easy. No, I would always go to where everyone else would do 10, I'd do 11. You
right.
know, always go that extra mile. And then the other philosophy that I would tell you is I had two sayings that I would run my business by. And saying one was always treat other people. I mean, we've all heard it. Always treat other people as you would like to be treated yourself. Um, so that's looking at the paradox of what that other person's looking at and experiencing from you. And the other thing is I have to give credit to Stephen Covey from Seven Habits of the Highly Effective People, and that is that you have to seek first to understand before you can be understood. Now, for someone who talks a lot like myself, I had to use this discipline of asking questions and finding out where a person was at, and then answering those questions.
Yeah.
The old
Yeah.
saying is find out what the problem is and then create the solution. We so often as salespeople roar in there with a solution, but the client or the customer doesn't actually want that solution.
Mm,
You haven't understood what their problem is.
yeah.
So those are a couple of things, but I'd be here all day actually if you wanted.
Yeah, well, they're very interesting, and they are true. We're working harder and smarter than other people. That's a big part of it, and yeah, and figuring out what people want. That's crucial.
Mhm.
Um, and when did you decide to go into management, and run your own business, and why? What was behind the decision to become a business owner?
Well, one of the things I found really early on is that super year, that exceptional year I had. I don't see it as something because I was that clever,
Mm,
because I was just smarter or better or anything than anyone else. I was completely blessed with a wonderful experience getting into real estate. And I see so many people, and I'm so, so, so deeply passionate about this. So many people in real estate, or that could be in real estate, that could do really, really well. I suddenly had this overwhelming desire to actually introduce other people to this great thing that I'd found.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's such a cool career. I'd been 20 years in the workforce. I had been, what would I have been, 13, 14 years at the time when I got into real estate, running my own businesses. I had
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing businesses and distribution businesses. And then I got into real estate. People will throw you, let's say, $500,000 house.
Mm.
And then, if your fee's $20,000 on that, well, you don't actually have any outgoings at all. You just grab their $500,000 house, spend a month with them through the process, and then they throw you 20 grand at the end of it when you sell it. Now, I'd been in a trading business where it took 6 months and of an investment of $500,000 to return $20,000.
Mm.
So I just thought this was a wonderful industry. So what did I want to do? I just had this massive, massive heart for showing other people the way in doing this.
Yeah.
What happened was, because I was so passionate for that, I became a very passionate person around my office. I would love to help out other people, introduce people into the industry. But sadly, and I will admit this and publicly, is that I became quite critical. I became critical of what the management of the business I was working for was doing. And I'm not particularly proud of that, but I realized quite quickly that what I needed to do is I wanted to make a mark, and I needed a platform to make that mark. And to do that, I needed to do it with a team of my own. I didn't want to build a sales team within business within a business.
Yeah.
So it was the best decision to go and say, hey, let's do this for myself. But then I didn't just do it small. I went mad and I bought one of the group's cornerstone offices in Rotorua with 20 odd salespeople. Now, a friend of mine said to me, Steve, you are the quintessential thrill seeker. To actually say, go and jump from a high performing salesperson into an office where there was a whole lot of other salespeople was a massive, massive new challenge. So I knew I needed the challenge, but what I did is I threw myself into probably one of the biggest ones that you could throw yourself into.
Yeah, yeah, interesting, very interesting. And this is what we spoke about a few weeks ago. You are running your business a little bit different with salespeople. 99.9% of real estate people, or the way businesses run in real estate, is really just the commission only. People work, they sell a house, or they list and sell a house, and they get commission, they get paid for that. But you structure it differently. How exactly does it work?
Well, again, this comes from that passion of I think there are very good salespeople that deserve to earn the good rewards that our industry gives salespeople, but our industry scares people off because they say you've got to fund yourself, you've got to train yourself. There's the corner, there's the desk. Go for gold, and then it becomes this model where the business owner takes no responsibility really, and you have to basically carve your own way. Now that scares off, good salespeople. I believe people who should be in the industry don't enter it for that barrier.
Right.
And so when we look closely at that barrier, there's you have to say, well, okay, so what can we do to fix this? And I looked offshore. I did a lot of study on other businesses overseas, particularly Australia. I looked at also what our responsibility as employers are, and I do view the fact that as an industry, we bring people into the industry and pay them commission only, nothing from the start. It's not really a responsible employment program. So if we take that a little bit deeper, I think that salespeople really they need a couple of things from the company. They need consistency of income, and they need continuity of work. So anybody wants that. They want consistency of income, continuity of work. So what we've designed is we've designed a program where we look at a person's prospective budgeted income for the year. We take 50% of that income. We then divide that by 52 weeks. And we say, on the basis of that's your personal income, and on the basis that we're underwriting 50% of it, this is what we're going to do for your first year. So we don't say you must fund yourself for the first 3 months, good luck, hope you don't lose too much money. We say this is what a whole year looks like up front. And then we also, when we do pay, we call it a commission in advance system. So we actually pay an expected amount of commission weekly in advance. And then every 3 months it's tallied up. Now, the beautiful point for salespeople with this is that it's not a debt.
Yeah.
If they end the year with selling nothing, earning nothing, they still take their salary away. Now, that's not ideal for the company. It's perfect for the salesperson, but it's
Yeah.
not ideal. So what that does is it forces us as a company to take responsibility for their performance. So that's where continuity, so that sorts continuity of income out, and so consistency of work, they need to actually have that consistency of something coming in. So it means then the company stands by that person, making sure that they've actually got some projects, some sales, some prospects, some prospecting methods to actually get teeth into, so that they can at least earn their prospective annual income. And we it's a partnership. It's totally a partnership. And when we get to the other end of that, the salesperson doesn't feel like the business, there's a very good loyalty between the business and the salesperson, but also between other salespeople, because no one's out there starving. No one in our team is missing out on money every week.
Yeah.
So they work together very, very well.
Yeah, very interesting. And is it not, you did mention it, touched on it earlier, is it not risky to the business in terms of really getting salespeople in and then they go, well, I'm on an income, therefore I don't care, I don't need to work very hard, and then um, they really spend a year in the business not bringing any money in, and then the business makes a loss?
Well, no, it's not, Emma. It's exactly like any other employment situation. If you were a sales company and you employed a sales rep, and you expect that sales rep to jump in the company car, travel around the country, go to your clients and sell them product, which is a part of my background, by the way, because I had been in a role like that. You're given a budget, you're given activities, you're given a run sheet of clients to visit, and you're expected to perform. And your sales manager, and this is the key, good sales management, your sales manager keeps you accountable to that. If you want to keep your job and you want to keep your salary, you perform to those KPIs, key indicators. So in the same way as a company, we're learning, and it's a constant learning, because we have to rethink the way everything's done in a real estate office, because it's not a set and forget for the business owner. This is a highly interactive process. So we have salespeople who have come in, they haven't earned their minimum standard, and they have left the company. No hard feelings either. No one's been sacked. We've just come to an agreement that they haven't been able to bring to the company what they need to. But also no one's walked away with a debt either, right? But the company then with others have gone, okay, if we invest in 3 months worth of salary, say, and when you think of 3 months of an average person's salary, it's not a big investment for the company to end up with a potential high performer. I see companies that are buying performers off other companies, which to me is just salesperson, that's trying to lure a salesperson for all the wrong reasons. They will spend good money buying another good salesperson off another company, which has all sorts of integrity questions written all over it. Whereas for us, what we're doing is we're investing in new people who we identify as good potential salespeople. Now, we might have 2 out of every 4 turn into great salespeople. The long-term answer to that, if you've got a short-term view, this does not work. If you've got a long-term view and investing in your team, and we've got people on that system that have been over 5 years now on that system, so it works. It's not a poor investment relative to what other companies are investing in, either buying offices or trying to create bonus schemes for salespeople. It's actually a lesser investment than that.
Yeah. This is really, really interesting, because you are, I know of maybe 1 or 2 other companies who are paying their salespeople, but I think it works differently. But that scene really is unique and different, and it's interesting to hear that perspective, because it is different from really just about everything that happens in the industry.
I'm willing and happy to share it too, Gary, because A lot of people don't. It's taken us years to figure this out and how to work it, because there's a massive shift that happens within the thinking of the sales team, the management and the way the sales management is done, and the
Yeah.
structure with which contracts and everything else is written. So it's there's a lot of barriers to making this work, but we've crossed those bridges. But I think it's going to change the industry long term, because employment employment laws are changing in Australia, and we're going to see those employment laws change here. And what we're doing is we're getting ready for the fact that there could be a time when the New Zealand employment laws could change and say this business of real estate agents taking on people at no income and making them work and suffer for 6 months with no income could actually not be a good thing in terms of employment law. The other thing is that the real estate authority themselves, I think the time will come, and this is my weird way of thinking, and I could be smashed for it and wrong, but is going to say, you know what, to bring the industry standard up, we've got to get people motivated by doing the right thing by the client and not looking at desperately trying to fulfill the next car payment.
Yeah.
So we've got to get this consistency of income and continuity of work and deliver that to salespeople.
Yeah, yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Steve, final question. So you have got your office in Rotorua, you've got another one in Whakatane. Any plans to continue and grow?
Oh, absolutely. I've never been more excited, Gary. I've never been more excited, because what we've discovered is we've discovered a way we can grow people, which is right back to my first year of real estate. I'm passionate about growing people. I'm passionate about now growing businesses. I'm passionate about how that leadership looks. I'm passionate about how great sales management looks, because that's a big gap in our industry.
Mm,
What we're doing at McDowell Real Estate, professionals, Rotorua and Whakatane. We've got great team culture here now, and I've had to change that the last 5 years. I took a very, very, very traditional 100-year-old business,
mm,
but we now, as you've just heard me explain, got a very new way of looking at things, and that's working very, very well for our people. And let's not miss the point. I still have salespeople, very successful salespeople within my team, who are on the traditional, we call them the traditional commission-only contracts. I
yeah,
do have those people still. So we
yeah,
run the two systems side by side.
yeah.
But we proudly opened the Whakatane office, and that's grown like an absolute mushroom in the last 12 months, and we are looking for more. But even more exciting than that, Gary, and a little plug and a promotion, but seriously, I do believe it. We've got a wonderful looking brand, and we've got some exciting things within our brand across the country
Mm.
for going forward, and I'm very pleased to be part of that. So watch the space, Gary, because I'm determined to make my mark.
Excellent, excellent. Determination is very good. Determination and passion, your passion for the industry and your passion for growing your business and your people, and really you grow your business through growing your people, comes through, and that's amazing. It's great to see this.
It's a wonderful industry to be in. It's so exciting.
Yeah,
I've got two little final ones for you, Gary, to
go for
actually
it.
share with you. And I share this with everyone, and I do give it credit to a mentor of mine, who told me this years ago. Um, and I've got two choices each day. In real estate, I think this is really important. You've got two choices. Your choice one, you can get frustrated, very frustrated. Or choice two, you can get fascinated, very
Mm.
fascinated. And some of my team will hear me walking, when I'm in the office, might be a tad stressed, and I'm saying, that's fascinating. Right. But like, there's so many amazing for a business and an industry that's actually, there's a lot of simpleness about it. There's the basics are the basics, and they
Mm,
always will be. Our ability to negotiate and our relationship building with people, it's a people business.
mm,
Computers and technology will never take that over, but and that's the enjoyable part. But it's also the fascinating part, people and situations and how it all works. It's endlessly fascinating.
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is definitely fascinating. People are fascinating.
Yep, absolutely.
Fabulous. Steve, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you sharing your business secrets, or doing things a little bit differently. I really think it is something that many people should hear and think about, and consider whether it's something that they would want to implement into their business. So I
Well,
appreciate
I
you.
do warn people. Well, I make it look simple, but there's a lot of people say you can't do it. They're quite right. There's
Mm,
a lot of situations where you can't do this.
mm,
It's been a 10-year mission to
yeah,
get to where I'm getting now, and where that will lead to is a complex thing.
yeah,
But as I have expressed here, I'm very happy to share it, because if nothing else, what we're looking for is raising the standard of our industry, how it serves its people, how its salespeople serves the clients, so that we've got a public out there that goes, we love the real estate industry, and we can see the value that it provides for us as a community.
yeah, yeah,
And that would be my bottom line, that the community sees us as an important part of the community that can
mm,
be trusted and it does a good job.
yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. Steve, again, really appreciate your time, really appreciate your knowledge and your enthusiasm and passion for the industry. And I am sure we will have another chat in the near future.
Thanks, Gary. You're very welcome.
Thanks.